All right, everybody, 159 live viewers hanging out with us again. Thank you all so much. We're down to the final 3 fights. This is where shit gets good. Smash that like button for us. We've got Petr Yan taking on Suga Sean O'Malley. And I know you all expect me to just kind of come in here and roast Sean O'Malley because that's kind of my thing, right? Like I'm a Sean O'Malley hater and I'm okay with it. Like that's what I do. But I don't think I can on this one. So quite frankly, all right, let me be honest with you guys. Let me be open and honest. I'm just going to open the book here. I like to hate on Sean O'Malley because it pisses his fanboys off. You make a TikTok about how shitty he is, and you get all the clicks and all the views you want. So I actually respect Sean O'Malley, the way he's managed his career, the type of athlete he is, the speed, the finishing ability. Like, I recognize how special this kid has a chance to be. I really do. So don't get that twisted whatsoever. But he's just too fun to hate on. And there have been a couple things that I do take issue with, like the fact that he lost the first round to Pedro Munoz. Like, people want to ignore the fact that Pedro Munoz outscored him, outlanded him, and all the judges scored round 1 for him because he just kicked the leg. He only kicked the leg, Weezy. All he did was kick the leg. Like, bro, like, that's winning a fight, though. Like, you land more than your opponent does equals win. So I don't care about all the other stuff, the goofball, you know, the fake hating from my side of things. Like, he actually did lose that first round to Pedro Munoz. Now, he's going up against Petr Yan in a 3-round fight where, quite frankly, Weezy, I don't know what to do because both of these guys have a tendency of coasting early. Petr Yan is built for 5 rounds. He is built to give away that first round, download the information from his opponent, and then crank it. And the Aldo fight was the perfect example. He murdered Aldo in the 5th round because he just downloaded all the information and destroyed him throughout the 4 rounds of that fight. I'm worried about him here in a 3-round fight. It's been so long since he's been in a 3-rounder. I'm not quite sure how he approaches it. Maybe he starts faster in this one. And frankly, I think that would be a good choice. But Sean O'Malley has cheat codes. He's so tall. He's so long. Somebody who's shorter like Petr Yan, if you're going to pick like a top 5 guy to target, that's the right target. That's the guy that's going to struggle to hit you back. And while I want to say Petr Yan leg kicks the hell out of Sean O'Malley and chips away at him, and we see that durability question mark flare up again, O'Malley showed some really nice checks in his last fight. Like, even though he did get his leg kicked a lot in round 1 against Pedro Munoz, he checked a lot of those. That dissuades your opponent from throwing them. That hurts. And on top of that, it doesn't do the damage that you would think it does when you check them. So I'm not entirely convinced that leg kicks are the path here against Sean O'Malley. I think this line opened up way wide. But at the same time, it also almost feels a little like bait, Weezy. Like, with how popular Sean O'Malley is and how wide this line opened, they're just soaking up all that Sugar Sean O'Malley love. And you got to wonder, it's not often I pull out the tinfoil hat for that kind of a thing, but you got to wonder if the bookies have taken a position here and they baited a big price tag thinking, come on, bring the money in, you know, kind of a Conor Khabib type of situation where they're more than happy to give you the price that you want because they know what side's going to get their hand raised. I like Petr Yan a lot, former champion, but I also worry about his fight IQ. Sometimes he's just too willing to brawl. You know, Aljamain Sterling was able to come in and use a perfect game plan, get his hand raised against this guy because he just wants to slug. He just wants to stand in front of you. He's got that nice high guard shell, protects himself, blocks a lot of oncoming punches. But the range and the speed of Sugar O'Malley has me scared here, Weezy. I am not laying this price tag with Petr Yan. Believe it or not, this is a Sean O'Malley dog or pass position for me. The number 1 Sean O'Malley hater on the planet. It's a Sean O'Malley spot or pass from my perspective. I can see this being a 3-round war. I can see it going all 15 minutes. But with the kind of offense both these guys are capable of, I wouldn't be shocked at all if somebody goes down at some point either. Weezy, help me out here. Help me find an option. Do we just pass on this one because it's going to be so fun to watch? What's the move here, Uncle Weezy? What do you got for me?
All right. So when you look at the stats, right, you know, it'll lead you to say, oh, wow, you know, O'Malley's going to be live here. And I think this is one where you kind of have to look a little bit more towards the narrative side, which I hate doing. But here's what I look at Sean O'Malley. When I think of Sean O'Malley, I think of a guy who has been handled with kit gloves, right? I think he picked literally every fight. I think he went to Dana and said, I want to fight this bum who has no fucking chance of beating me. These guys that he's beating, I mean, every fight, the Pedro Munoz fight and the Marlon Vera fight are the only fucking real fights that this guy has had at the UFC level. All right? And he dropped the ball against Pedro, was losing that fight. He got smoked by Marlon Vera. And then it's like Rowley and Paiva. That's the best win. Chris Montino. This guy wasn't even in the UFC. And they brought him in to fight Sean O'Malley. Thomas Almeida, who hadn't won a fight in like 7 years or some shit. And then you go back before that, and it's bum, 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 bum. This is Petr Yan. This is, if you're 29 and you were born in Siberia, you're beating the fucking odds, right? This guy just survives, you know, and that's good enough. I think he's so much better than Sean O'Malley. I think if this fight happens 100 times, Yan probably wins it 98 out of 100 times. Look, the level of competition, not even close. Not even close. The grappling, not even close. This guy took down Aljamain Sterling 8 times out of 8 attempts and dominated Aljamain Sterling on the ground. Even on the feet, I think that Petr Yan is probably the better striker because he's got more power. Another thing, I want everybody, if you think that, all right, look, Sean O'Malley got walked down for 14 and a half minutes by Chris Montino. That fight shouldn't have even been stopped, even though he was really putting it on Montino. But look at the end of the second round. I urge all of you, look at the look on Sean O'Malley's face at the end of the second round of the Moutinho fight. He was exhausted from getting walked down by a striker who is 2% of the quality of Petr Yan. Petr Yan was walking down Aljamain Sterling in the striking exchanges of those fights. I think he's going to do the same thing to Sean. I don't think that reach and height advantage that Sean O'Malley has is going to mean anything here. I think Peter's going to walk this dude down. I think he's probably going to put him up against the cage. I think it's almost a certainty that he takes down Sean several times and beats him up on the ground. And I just haven't seen Sean against any real mixed martial artist ever show anything to suggest that he has even the smallest chance of coming out of this fight with his hand raised. I think Petr Yan is going to murder this dude.
Okay. That is a strong opinion, and that's exactly what I was looking for, Weezy, because, yeah, like I said, I'm getting a little semi-spooked here in this spot. Now, perfect thing by Weezy to go ahead and bring up, and obviously I don't want to get, tagged or taken down or anything like that, so I can't play the video for you, but here's like kind of a still shot of the end of round 2. Before this moment, Sean O'Malley does whiff with a giant counter strike and does look a little lost, and he's pinned up here against the cage by Chris Montino for a decent little 30 seconds here at the end of the fight. So there may be a little truth to what Uncle Weezy is saying. I'm going to have to go back and review a little further about that. But if the walking down is an issue, a guy who's used to going forward is now having the pressure put on him, Weezy may be onto something here with that one. So I think I am picking Petr Yan. I've been picking Petr Yan this entire time. But my Coyote scored again. Sorry. Okay. I know people watching this later on who are not live and haven't been sweating with me the entire 2 hours of the stream are going to be like, the fuck is that about? This guy screams Yotes in the middle of an MMA breakdown. Yeah. Sorry guys. I'm a Coyotes fan. So I'm picking Petr Yan, Weezy. I have to pick Petr Yan. I must pick Petr Yan. But at the same time, I can't rely on my my seething hatred for Sean O'Malley and parlay him up and just kind of blanketly disrespect this young kid that's quite obviously making big improvements in his game and things of that nature. So probably a pass for me. I understand it if you guys are parlaying Petr Yan. I get it. It makes sense. I also understand anybody who wants to buy the hype and take a KO prop on Sean O'Malley. But quite frankly, Jan's made a steal, Weezy. Like nobody's
Yeah.
been able to crack this guy. If O'Malley is the first one to pull it off, if O'Malley is the first one to hit hard enough to actually crack the defense of Petr Yan and put him away, I will crown him champion on Saturday. I'll do an apology video and be like, no one's stopping this kid if he pulls that off. So I'll be watching with bated breath. This is going to be a very exciting fight. We've all been waiting for the moment where Sean O'Malley finally took on a real contender, a real opponent. And here it is. Is it the perfect opponent for him? Yes. Once again, it is the perfect opponent for him to take his next step up against. But it's still a very dangerous, very real, very legit opponent. And the UFC wants him to win, Weezy. The UFC wants Sean O'Malley. Dana White's been on record multiple times, even just this week, talking about how big a star this kid is going to be, how he's a global superstar. He's this close to achieving it. He's their next Conor McGregor. The UFC has a homegrown prospect here in Sean O'Malley, and they really want him to succeed. And that's another one of those things where, again, that's not usually my angle. The narrative is not usually my angle, but I kind of get it here. So tread lightly, folks. Be careful here on this one. I'm going to watch this fight very, very closely. Any wrap-up thoughts there on that one, Weezy, before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, if the UFC wants Sean O'Malley to get a win, they picked the wrong fucking opponent. That's what I'm going to say to this one. Yeah, I think Jan's going to destroy this kid, but kudos to Sean for taking this fight. It's a great measuring stick to find out where he is in his mixed martial arts career. And Sean O'Malley's only 27 years old. He can lose this fight, learn from it, get better, and be champion 5 years from now. It could still happen. He's got a lot of growing to do, but Petr Yan's only 29. This guy's getting better too. So yeah, I'm very confident in Petr Yan.